Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Wednesday, May 7th, 2025. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Happy hump day, everyone. It is Fed Day. Today, FOMC statement and rate decision with the press conference that follows later on this afternoon, 1 o'clock p.m. Central for the statement and rate decision release, 1:30 p.m. Central here for the press conference. That's when the bulk of the volatility will come. Right now we have a 5-day compression that is developed here for many of these markets. Very compressed here, going back to last Thursday, Friday, again Monday, Tuesday, and now into Wednesday here. Nice compression. Look at the 5-day range right here. The anticipation here is for a move of at least 300 points up ahead over the next 4 days, at least 3 to 4 days, but it could be even beyond that. Again, this is a 5-day compression right now, but by the end of the day we could see a high range day materialize. Today's range could be somewhere in the 130 to 150 point zone, somewhere in there, but a nice compression here. 300 to 350 points of expansion could be seen over the next 3 to 5 days. Now here's the thing, is it going up or down? We'll see what the response is after the Fed news here, but we've continued to really be trending downward here lately. We have a narrow compression that is developed after strength. So after this recent move up, that compression is very reminiscent of something like this or something like this, and then you see kind of the bottom fall out. Are we going to see another big drop? If we end the day with an outside reversal down, for example, something like this, it could be an aggressive drop over the next several days. But do we get new lows? Do we get new lows? As of right now, higher lows developing between 51 and 5200. If we were to drop, we could see a move into 5200 and then start to bounce back up, maybe developing higher lows along the way. So we'll see what we get. But over the course of the afternoon here, 130 to 150 points of range by the end of the session for the ES, and 300 350 points of range over the next 4 to 5 days out of this compression here. And again, we'll see how we end the day looking like. If it's something like this, things are going to get fairly bearish here over the next several days. On the flip side, what if we get the opposite of this here? What if we drop hard and reject and develop kind of a shakeout leg, wick reversal? That could be a tremendous rally coming up out of that pattern. So we'll see how we develop here out of this 4 to 5 day compression. Looking at the NQ, very similar price action for the NQ. You can see right here this narrow 5-day range in play, developing below year-to-date VWAP right now. Super compressed on the ADR indicator, just 39% of ADR. We could be looking at somewhere north of 1,600 points over the next 5 days. Of course, by the time today finishes, it might be a breakout from a 4-day compression, but you're still looking at 1,200 points, somewhere in there easily, that could be seen up ahead out of the NQ. And we'll be looking to see how we finish the day out of this compression like the ES. If it's an outside day down, like we've seen here already to begin the quarter, that could be quite bearish over the next several days. The flip side, if we were to drop hard and reject, especially with the lower value relationships but the bullish bias, that could be a tremendous move back up toward recent highs. All right, looking at crude oil. Right here, you'll notice crude oil has bounced off of recent lows, kind of a double bottom down here. Nice little reaction off those lows here. And we've seen a little bit of a bounce. The previous session, a nice bullish day here. Can this market find a higher low this morning and continue to stretch this thing beyond 60? That's going to be a big if, because we have been trending downward here lately. We're inside the bearish Pima trigger zone, which is sloping down. That could lead to another round of weakness. So really, after this 2-day move here and this bounce off of lows, can price find a higher low? Can it pull back into the previous month's close and hold? A check mark continuation would go a long way toward returning price back toward 64s, but got to keep an eye on 60 here. Can we get through 60 at some point today? All right, looking at gold futures, This one has been on fire to the upside over the last couple of days, holding pattern at the moment right now, but very similar price action to the beginning of April to what we're seeing right now at the beginning of May. Almost identical price action through about 6 or 7 days, which is wild. Nice rally the last couple of days. That's what we've seen here, and now we're holding at these highs. The expectation is for a push to new all-time highs, which could take us beyond 3550, maybe 3600, and then we got to see how the market responds to higher highs here, because if there's a rejection of higher highs, we could be putting in a local top here for this market. So still trending higher, still very bullish, looking for this thing to continue to rotate to new highs. The pullback here could be a buying opportunity for a continuation up, but we might be getting close to kind of that local top like I mentioned. Big strong high here. How does the reaction on the secondary attempt, how does that play out? If there's a higher high rejection or something like this, we could be looking at a pullback and a holding pattern for gold after recent strength. Looking at the YM, this one's up 0.5% right now. 4-day compression leading into today, now a 5-day range. You can see down here 5 days. We're looking at 2,200 points of expansion that could be seen over the next 5 days. We had it at about 1,800 points on a 4-day range basis. So if we start to break out of this range today and drop, maybe it's an 1,800 point projection we're looking for. So big time potential here out of this market. Given the downtrend, again, man, if we see some selling pressure to the downside out of this range, there's going to be some weakness here, maybe into 38K, maybe a retest of lower lows here. If we did come and test those lows, that would be a tremendous lower low failure opportunity, which could be a tremendous buying opportunity back toward recent prices. So right now, compression on a 5-day basis, you're looking for 2,000 points of range here that could be ahead, as high as 2,200. Could be a tremendous move for the YM. Now Bitcoin is up 2% right now. This one's rallied about 20+ thousand points off the lows. You're looking at 74.6 on the lows, and right now we're at 97.4. We put in a high a couple of days ago here, which was 98.6. So you're looking at 24,000 point rally out of this recent move here. Now you have this compression right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-day compression out of Bitcoin. We can update our ADR indicator right here, and that gives us 11-day compression to quantify the recent range here, and that's the range we're getting right there. That's the quantification. 6,800 points, 43% of average. And if you just look at this segment of time right here, we haven't been super compressed on an 11-day basis very often, but we do get down there. And when we do, you can see the type of movement that tends to follow out of a range like that, compressed here, and you tend to see that increase of volatility. Do we get an increase of volatility? Also, 20,000 points. That's been about how far we've gone on a 2-week basis. 11 days is about 2 weeks, 10 days, 10 trading days. So we're looking at a tremendous potential here to see 15 to 20,000 points of range over the next 2 weeks or so. Given the strength here, what if we break down first, find a low, and then rally? 20,000 points off of 90,000 takes you to all-time highs at 110. So how are we going to move out of this range? That's going to be the big thing to watch here later on today. On the Fed, again, high range afternoon likely to play out. How does this market respond? The ETH chart right here up 2.5%, not quite as bullish as the Bitcoin chart here lately, but we have seen a tremendous bounce off the 1,400 level, a recovery of 1,600, and now we have this compression 11 days as well, and that's looking like a move of at least 400 points coming up ahead, but it could be north of that as well. We've seen some pretty significant moves, 700 points, 1,000, or even more than that. At these price levels, just say it is a 400 to 500 point move, call it 500 on the high end here. man, if this thing can find a higher low, say off of 1600 here, drop and bounce, that higher low, 1600 plus 5 takes you to 21, and you're working toward that 2200 market structure level. So we'll see again, how do we move out of these narrow ranges across the board on Fed later on this afternoon. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.